Hello, friends. It's Greg here on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel. I have an eBay store that's also called Blue Feather Ephemera, where I sell vintage magazine print ads. And in my videos, I show you what's sold. This week, I sold 11 ads for $218.47. In a minute, we're going to take a look at them. But I also want to remind you to stick around because a little bit later, I'm going to cover some photography tips that'll help your listing stand out and improve your sales. All right, here we go. We're going to pick up right where we left off last week. And if you watched that video, you'll recall that we had an eBay sale notification as we were wrapping up. And it was another sale from a magazine that we talked about at length last week from the Courier Journal 1960. It was a centennial commemorative issue published by that newspaper. That ad that sold is the one that you're looking at for the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railroad Company. And the ad talks about during the Civil War how bridges were a strategic objective to either take control of or hang on to. And it talked about the importance of the K&I Bridge in Louisville, Kentucky. So it's a half page ad, and it went back to Louisville, Kentucky to a buyer there for $18.77. Here's another ad from the same publication, 1960 Louisville Gas and Electric Company. Says through war and peace, 122 years of progress. And in the picture is the image of the Cane Run generating plant. It goes on to make comparison between the Civil War years and 1960. In the Civil War years, they had 35 miles of gas mains that served 3,000 customers with around 300,000 cubic feet of gas daily. It compares that to 1960 when the company had 1,650 miles of gas mains supplying 296 million cubic feet of gas daily to 195,000 customers. This beautiful ad went to a Kentucky buyer for $28.77. And the most recent one that sold from that publication from 1960, that Courier Journal Civil War commemorative insert, that centennial issue that we've talked about. This one for Churchill Downs, it talks about the horses and it says they were the silent soldiers of the Civil War. In the text of the ad, it says Civil War cavalries required swift and spirited horses. And it shows the image here of a Confederate troop, and it's likely meant to depict some of Morgan's raiders who are mentioned in the ad. And it talks about how many of the men rode their own Kentucky horses into battle. It goes on to say that horse racing recovered as a sport within about 10 years after the end of the Civil War. The first Kentucky Derby, held in 1875, won by a horse called Aristides. $28.77 sent this to a buyer in Kentucky, and that brought the total of this magazine within 2 weeks of listing to $150.16. Changing gears here. Next up, from 1979, Sports Illustrated magazine is an advertisement for the Gnome Family, Lucky Little Leprechauns. The text of this ad from Empire Stories calls these characters little folks. I thought maybe this toy line came out in response to the popularity of the Smurfs, but I did a quick Google, and the Smurfs didn't come out on TV until 1981. So this predates that by a couple of years. Whereas the Smurfs are all blue, this is a more diverse collection of people. White, yellow, green are all represented, but it looks like the girls are still woefully underrepresented. This ad places emphasis on collecting them all. You know, a toy company always tries to get kids to collect things, but these gnomes come with accessories like playground equipment and a little gnome village there. $14.77 sent this ad to a buyer in Denmark through the eBay Global Shipping Program. Next up, I've got two advertisements that went to one buyer. Both of them are for women's undergarments. And the first one here is Celebrity Underfashion's Bras, Panties, and Girdles from 1965 Life magazine. This full page advertisement is in black and white, and it features several of the products in that line there. And these models are enjoying their savings by stuffing big oversized coins into a huge piggy bank. I charged only $14.77 for this ad, even though it's a full page ad. 1960s magazines are, I consider, relatively recent. It's Life, which had a very large circulation, and it's black and white. The second ad to that same buyer, though, brought a much better price because it's a four-page advertising spread. It is the same year, 1965, but this is in color. It came from American Girl magazine. On what you'd call the front pages of the ad, it's two pages. The left side, right side is one image. It shows girls here talking on the phone and just doing girl things, wearing bras and panty fashion teen sets from a brand called Lovables, and the line is called Graduates. Here's another image from the back. Now, you also might have noticed that all of these girls are drying their hair, and that's because this company has teamed up with General Electric for the promotion. And the other half of the back image is in black and white, and it tells you what stores to shop at and how they can enter to win that General Electric hair dryer. But because this is four pages, and because it's in a publication with a lot lower circulation, American Girl magazine, I priced this up at $28.77. Both of these going to a buyer in Wisconsin. This full page advertisement from 1941 appeared in Fortune magazine for the Ingalls Ironworks Company. It shows examples of their construction and shipbuilding and tank building. I've said it before on my channel, but it bears repeating. All of us who sell in this category knows that the World War II years are popular with collectors of advertising. This company here in Birmingham, Alabama, declares the defense industry finds Ingalls prepared and serving. And to be completely honest, when I saw other advertisements from this company that mentioned the Birmingham Tank Company, it being World War II era, I naturally assumed that it was talking about armored tanks for battle. But what it's really talking about is these steel storage tanks for water or petroleum or chemicals. But anyway, $18.77 sent this ad to a buyer in Delaware. Here's an interesting ad from 1952. It's a full page black and white ad for New York Life Insurance Company that appeared in Ladies' Home Journal. A majority of the time, it'll be the art or images in an ad that sells it, and I don't think this is any different. It shows a train conductor here and a older couple that's traveling, and right over her head is a square clock on a pillar, and I thought that that was probably a specific location. So with a little bit of search, I figured out it's Grand Central Station, so I put that in the title of the ad. Of course, the New York Life Insurance Company don't sell train rides, they sell insurance. So all of the text there talks about how this couple is going to visit their son who is raising their grandchild that they're going to meet, and they're glad that they're able to be independent thanks to their insurance. $18.77 sent this to a buyer in California. This next pair of advertisements goes to a repeat customer. It shows a Porsche advertisement, full page 1966 from Fortune magazine. In the ad are pictures of the Porsche 911 and 912. This ad reads that this is the new Porsche that the company's been thinking about and planning for 17 years. It's faster, more nimble, more beautiful, and far roomier. Because of the publication year, 1966, I do consider that a more recent vintage, and also where the ad is black and white, I priced this one at $14.77. The second advertisement to that same buyer is for a 1966 Volkswagen 21 window Samba. I call it a VW microbus, but it appeared in Life magazine. It's a color ad, but earlier I mentioned that I'd be talking about photography tips for your listings, and this is where we're going to get into that just a little bit. What you're seeing on screen right now is my primary photograph for the listing. This is the one that comes up on the main screen. Now, because this is an advertisement for a 66 Volkswagen Samba, I didn't want a lot of other things in the advertisement cluttering that up. Now, here is the second photograph for the listing, which shows the full ad. But for the buyer for the Volkswagen ad, I made the Volkswagen front and center. In this ad, there's all kinds of other things, and it goes into detail about various inventions that were laughed at, like the electric light bulb, the wheel, the car, airplanes, and steamships. All those things were laughed at, and Volkswagen says they were laughed at too, but they're so much better than the competition that the laughter's dying. So as you can see, even though 5/6 of this page is not in color and 5/6 of this page is not about a Volkswagen Samba, I believe that using a photograph of the partial page helped catch the buyer's attention. This ad sold for $16.77. Both of these automobile ads are going to a repeat customer in Arkansas. This last advertisement is also one where I chose to use only a part of the image in the primary photograph for the listing, but this is for all of the fun you can have exploring the desert Southwest sun country, including Phoenix, Tucson, El Paso, and Albuquerque. The part of the ad that I chose to show is the top third, and there it shows the bright yellow color on the word Phoenix, and it has a saguaro cactus in the middle of the O. It shows a fella golfing, and they're golfing around saguaro cactus there. Now take into account what you see on screen right now. You'll see that the color is on the top and the bottom, but when your image ends up in an eBay listing and it's not square, they chop off the top and the bottom in the image that's presented to the person who's scrolling through those listings. And so, because the better color and the full image in this ad is at the top, that's what I chose to use. That middle with the smaller pictures and less color is less visually striking and might not catch a buyer's attention. So, there's good reasons why you may not want to use full ad images in all of your listings. So keep that in mind when you list. $14.77 is sending this advertisement to a buyer in Tempe, Arizona. And Tempe is an Arizona town that's been swallowed up by Phoenix. So you can consider that this is an ad that's going back home, the second one today. Just to recap, this week I had 11 sales for a total of $218.47. Last week I added a graphic because I wanted to keep track of a few different things. I did not have any ads this week that had a surname that matched the name of somebody mentioned in the ad or matched the name of the business. I did have one international sale on the eBay Global Shipping Program. I had two sales going back to the origin of the ad or the town that was mentioned in the ad. And also, I had two repeat buyers this week. That wraps up another What Sold video from Blue Feather Ephemera. I hope to see you again next week. Hey, while you're here, I want to invite you to visit my eBay store, Blue Feather Ephemera. The link is down below in the description of this video. I always say that if a thing was made, sold, collected, celebrated, or built You can bet it was also advertised. Classic vintage advertising makes great decor for your bar, restaurant, man cave, salon, garage, anywhere the right vibe is essential. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.